Ian Garry fights Shavkat Rakhmonov in the co-main event of UFC 310, and a lot of people are picking Shavkat simply based on the fact that he is tougher. And while that may be true, and I do think Shavkat will win that fight, I want to highlight a fight where Ian Garry fought through adversity and displayed his toughness against Song Kenan. So let's break it down. Ian Garry really works behind his jab in this fight, so he opens up with just a nice stiff jab, and Song Kenan immediately goes for the left hook counter. Ian pulls that out of the way, some foreshadowing for later on in the fight. Then, Ian starts to hammer down the low kick, both on the thigh and the calf. Song makes zero attempt to check any kicks at all. And the fact that Ian's mixing up the targets to the legs is also very impressive. He's not just hammering the calf or the thigh, he's hammering both. And he's actually timing them really well. As Song Kenan's trying to pivot, that's when he starts landing the calf kick, which just maximizes the damage. Ian steps in with a 1-2 down the pipe as Song Kenan is putting up quite a high guard. He's putting up a shell, so Ian just cracks him down the pipe with a 1-2 and fades away out of the left hook counter. Because of Song Kenan's high guard, Ian throws a rear front kick up the middle, which gets really close to landing, and that was intended to land, but it's just ever so slightly out of the way. Ian then goes back to the leg kick. He never commits just to one kick. It's always goes to the knee stomp, then he goes to the leg kicks, then he goes to left body kicks, left high kicks. He's very good at mixing in his kicking techniques, and I think it's a very underrated part of his game. Now I love this technique right here. So Song Kenan tries to blitz away from the fence, right? Because Ian's pushing him back. Ian lands an oblique kick to the hip. Now, it doesn't do any damage, right? It's not like when you stomp the knee, your knee hurts. It's not that. But it holds people in their tracks. You'll see masters of the teep in Muay Thai use this, especially people like Lordzilla. They'll just teep the hip and it'll stop people in tracks because it's almost like the center point of the body. Everything hinges on that. So if you punt, a teep to the hip, they just kind of fold over themselves, and it worked perfectly in this exchange. Ian goes back to the calf kick, and Song Kenan tries to counter with his own inside leg kick. Ian, however, is very good at just sliding ever so slightly out of the way. He does that quite a lot in this fight, and it's very good distance management. Song Kenan tries to push his way away from the fence by just putting up an extremely high guard. Ian picks up on this and starts attacking the body. He goes jab to the body, then he goes to the oblique kick again to keep Kenan against the fence, and then he goes a nice push kick to the gut. And then he dips down for a body hook. He gets real low and he lands a really nice body shot, but then instead of pulling back away, he comes back up, tries to go for a jab cross. And as this happens, because he didn't pull out of the exchange, Song Kenan lands a massive left hook and hurts him really, really badly. But Ian recovers. He gets back up on his feet and he starts throwing punches, and he actually starts putting the pressure on, but his legs are still a bit jiggly. But when he gets back to the corner, you can see he's not that hurt, or he's recovered really well. He immediately knows what he got hit with and why, and he's talking to his corner and he's calm and he's still confident, and this just shows that either he wasn't hurt very bad or he recovered really, really well. And regardless of what it was, it's extremely impressive for him to be that knowledgeable still after being dropped. Ian opens the second round with a oblique kick and a push kick, as these kicks generally just blend together well. Song Kenan doesn't really know which type of kick is coming his way, so again he just puts up the high guard, and it's just instinctive. If you don't know what's coming your way and you're a bit confused, you just put up that shell, and he immediately just goes into that shell. Ian then goes for a 1-2. He lands the jab, but the right hand gets blocked. And eventually he figures out how to land the right hand. But what he starts doing with the jab, he really gets behind his jab in this round, is he starts putting both of his hands out. He starts using a long guard, right? Similar to Muay Thai. Puts out a long guard, and then he pumps the jab through the middle really hard, and it snaps Kenan's head back. And he lands this 3 times, back to back to back, really, really hard. Very impressive to not only land this, but to land it in succession multiple times over. The whole reason he had so much success with that long guard is it kind of gets Kenan to almost match his hands, right? Your opponent's bringing their hands out, you sort of want to match them, you want to feel where they're going, and that's, opens up the middle for the jab. Ian then starts pumping out the double jab just to get Kenan's guard up. Ian then reaches across with his left hand to keep Kenan's left hand up, and he digs a long right hook to the body. Just very impressive hand manipulation and body work from Garry, especially considering he's a much taller fighter. As Garry has Kenan up against the fence, he starts to put on the pressure. He throws a really, really terrible flying knee, does not come close to landing but gets him in distance. He frames off and lands a nice elbow. This does quite a bit of damage. Ian then pumps a jab through the middle, gets Kenan's guard up, goes for a nice right hook to the body, lands clean. He then slips out of the way of the left hook counter, lands a nice jab again, misses the right hook as Kenan goes under, then Ian slips out of the way of the left hook counter again, and then goes back to the calf kick. Just understanding when to put on the pressure and when to go back to the basics and the fundamentals and just stick to targeting the legs and the body. Just really great fight IQ by Ian Garry. Ian starts to get a lot more confident with this jab. He again pours out with his hands, cracks him with the jab down the middle. He then, as Kenan has the high guard, starts pumping a jab just down to the body. Just really hard but really consistent. Then he lets a nice jab as Kenan's about to throw the left hook, right? Timing your strikes when your opponent is about to throw a strike is perfect, and it does so much more damage. I explained this in the Alex Pereira versus Khalil Roundtree breakdown, and it works an absolute charm. Ian then sort of fakes, but sort of goes for a step in knee, and as Kenan's moving back, he just pumps the jab in and it lands very nicely. He then plays with the hands again, fakes the left hand, goes with a long right hook to the body. Just excellent body work. And by the end of the second round, Ian Garry's jab has done that to Song Kenan's face. The power of the jab, ladies and gentlemen. The power of the jab. Beginning the third round, Ian Garry has a lot of the momentum, and Song Kenan's going to want to be a lot more aggressive. So Garry immediately goes back to targeting the leg with, outside thigh kicks, outside calf kicks, and knee stomps. Right? Ian Garry then does a double jab and starts taking off the angle and lands a fadeaway right hook over the top, which lands very nicely. Garry goes back to the jab, pouring out the hands, cracking Kenan with the jab down the middle. Then goes for a nice jab to the body, and then starts faking the jab. He sees that Kenan is sort of reaching down to parry or grab the jab. Garry then steps in with a shovel hook, lands nicely but misses with the right hand. He just makes the read that Kenan is dropping his right hand to parry. This is very important. Ian goes back to the jab and he starts landing hard with it, really popping Kenan's head back and is arguably hurting him with it. He then starts digging back to the body with the jab, right? And he's just making his reads on how Kenan responds to the jab. So, Ian pumps his jab, Kenan moves forward, pumps his jab again, Kenan moves back. He lands a left hook around the guard as Kenan's moving back. Right? This hurts him bad. This is the beginning of the end. After that left hook, Ian is finally able to land just a right hand as Kenan's moving away. This really hurts him. Then, as he has Kenan up against the fence, Kenan's obviously hurt, so he's going to start putting up a high guard. Ian digs to the body. Jab, right hook, left hook to the body. Perfect. Then, Kenan goes for the left hook counter. Ian slips out of the way. Then he goes for the 1-2, lands both of them. And, obviously, after a few more shots, Kenan can't take any more, and Ian finishes the fight with ground and pound. Very impressive performance from Ian Garry. And I know after this fight, a lot of people are like, oh, he's so beatable. And a lot of people do still think he is beatable, which, every fighter is. A lot of people are like, Jeff Neal's going to chin him, Vicente Luque's going to chin him. Like, I remember a lot of people, at least the MMA guru, picking Vicente Luque and I believe Jeff Neal. Fair enough. But a lot of people had a very different perception of Ian Garry after this fight. And I think he actually just made a mistake, got caught, and then completely, fixed everything and stuck to a game plan, did damage, made it exciting. and just methodically pieced up Song Kanan. Do I think he's going to beat Shavkat Rakhmonov? No. I think Shavkat just simply is much more, not only tougher, but genetically gifted, right? I think he has, a bit more power. I think he's got better, jiu-jitsu and grappling. I don't think Ian's going to, hold him against the fence or hold him down on the ground. And I just see Shavkat slowly breaking him down as the fight goes on, to a fourth or fifth round TKO. But I do believe Ian Garry will put up a good account of himself, and he will show his toughness, and he will fight for as long as he can. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to break down that performance from Ian Garry, as I've already kind of broke down Shavkat. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you next time.